I am Kevin, and this is Scott.
Hello, I'm Jeremy.
Yeah, you just said I'm Kevin.
This is Remy. Remy sitting next to us.
I see.
I had vigorous laser removal.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so I guess I'm Scott.
no
Yeah.
longer interested
Scott
in
now.
black
My
on
hair.
black
How's
tattoos.
your jobs?
Yeah. How many jobs do you have this week?
I actually have had a lot of jobs though, so I could be
Oh,
Scott.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You're the more feminine Scott, the fairer Scott, if I may. So speaking of Scott, Sarah, you're getting your first tattoo in your first tattoo in 2 years probably? A year and a half?
I don't even remember the last time I
'Cause,
got
like,
tattooed. So
You got the little moon on your face.
Yeah,
but
that didn't really
doesn't count. Because it's like,
I love these
like-
tattoos that don't count.
it's like this
this
big,
This doesn't really
and
count.
it felt like nothing.
and
It's
like,
also reasonable.
you can't see it right now, but it's hiding behind her hair there
Yes.
because she wanted,
The moon.
as I said, she wants a face tattoo, but she doesn't want to make waves. Right?
It's understandable.
The
Although the moon does physically make waves.
It does. I kind of
So-
wish it was bigger now, though. Like, you get it, and then you're like, oh, shoot. It should have been bigger.
I think it can be made bigger.
We'll see.
It's well, I'm gonna ask Scott what he thinks. Like
I'm
probably
gonna make Scott
either
make my moon bigger.
today or next week. Not to do it, but just like if he thinks it's
If
possible.
it's
Well,
plausible.
Bigger is possible, but then all of a sudden you're like, well,
Yeah, well, you
Right,
want to
I
have
know.
it bigger, but not in a funny shape or
Yeah.
intruding on strange areas.
yeah, exactly.
Because if it's gonna all of a sudden be like up here, then you don't go bigger.
No.
Because you could
Well-
always just go around the moon in the exact same shape and broaden it.
Yep.
You don't want it protruding into weird spots.
Yeah.
That was my issue with the stars on my face. It was like, how the hell do we turn these into roses?
Who did those?
Lee.
Lee turned them into.
No, I know turn them into roses, but who did the
Oh
the initial?
wow, a guy named Dave Sparks.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
so
Wow.
not good.
Yeah.
Actually, I just did a vlog about my first face tattoos. I think it will be up before this podcast.
Yeah, should be.
And
Right around the same.
yeah, and I tell the story of probably the worst tattoo experience ever.
Oh, really?
Going to someone's house for a tattoo.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
no.
Only
Those
ever
always
done
end good.
I've only ever done it once.
I've never gone to a house for a tattoo.
It was the creepiest thing ever. Like, it was sterile. His setup was sterile,
Great.
but that was the only good part.
Sterile as a house can be.
Yeah,
Because
sweet.
like, he had a shop that he lost after he did them originally, but there was so much dropout in the ink, and they blew out in places, so they had to be fixed.
Oh, boy.
So I had to track him down on Facebook and go to his house to get them done, to get them fixed, because he didn't
Oh,
have a
boy.
shop anymore. And the whole session, his partner was like bitching at him about not doing the laundry and how the dishes were overflowing and stuff. And she's
Just like a
smoking
regular
cigar
business.
in a bathrobe.
Oh, man.
It was pretty gross.
That's a movie. I feel like you should almost make we should make like little skits or documentaries out of your
There's a lot of cool stories.
Yeah.
About the experiences.
the experiences.
But then I'm always careful with like, are they unique to me, or do most people have wild stories?
Most people have wild stories.
right? Because like I don't want to get too arrogant. Like, oh, I have the best stories ever. It's like,
I mean, I get talked to a lot about people that are trying to cover things up, and their stories are always similar to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazy
They're
stuff.
they're just some sort of horror story or another, and I think they're very broad. Like I think it would widely appeal to
Right.
a lot of people. Weirdly enough.
Make
That's
people
why
feel
the
better
vlogs
too.
work, because
Yeah,
I tell
yeah.
a lot of weird stories in them. Like, and I go into it with the intention of talking about one particular thing, and then it goes slightly off rail
Naturally,
into a story.
as is everything we do. But that's
Why
okay.
Some of them I hate. Like, I'll watch them back, and I'm like, ugh, why would anyone watch this?
Well, I mean, I can't answer that, but
What is
Obviously.
your worst tattoo story?
Uh,
And then I'm gonna ask you yours. too.
well,
and don't mention names if you
I'm
don't
not
want to put
going to
anybody
name
on
names
blast.
because the person who did it is someone I would consider a friend, I guess, at one point or another. But there was a tattoo that I got. Actually, Jeremy was there, and
I told you the story. I think.
the artist started tattooing me on the stomach, which really hurts.
Yeah.
And like 20 minutes in, his girlfriend, who is a friend of mine, called him and was locked out. And instead of coming to the shop, she made him go to her to bring the key.
Naturally.
And so, yeah, and then I got charged for the time
Oh, of course.
and touch-ups. And it really sucked because
Yeah.
I wanted to be like, hey, dude, like, this is awful. But then
Yeah,
at
it
the
was-
same time, too, I'm like, I really want to finish this tattoo / not make you angry. I don't know. It's always such a tricky situation.
In
That is the hard thing.
Like, she was kind of okay with what had happened, and
Yeah.
I was outraged because
Yeah.
I've already at this point been tattooed for hundreds of hours,
Yeah.
and I've never seen anything this. I've seen things this bad, but not in this way.
Really?
Like, I've seen all kinds of shenanigans, but not that brand.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disgusted and of the opinion that that was the last time we were going there at that point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, we're not coming back.
I also had a time at a tattoo convention that I was getting my demon teapot thing on my leg tattooed, and we were right next to the Hells Angels, and they kept sticking their head through the like curtain and being like, "What are you getting? Will you pass me those scissors?" And I was just like, I'm scared.
I've never been tattooed at a convention. It doesn't seem like fun.
They were really nice,
Yeah?
but it was just like, an awkward situation when a guy sticks
Well,
his
that's
head
what it
through
seems like. Is it seems like you're getting tattooed in a giant room of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've
I mean-
never done a convention tattoo either. I get all kinds of people are like, "Have you been to this convention? You should come to this convention with us." Like all these different requests. Come to this thing. Like I've got some friends with like other bodysuits, and they're all like, "It would be nice to see you here with us this convention." And well, that's no interest.
Do you think conventions keep going?
Oh, that's a hard one, hey?
Yeah, because like, I mean, I like them for the whole reason conventions have been and start. It's cool, but I just think digitally, like everything's a convention.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We see tattoos all the time.
Yeah.
The reason we would have conventions originally, now we've strayed from the original intention. Now it's to sell merchandise. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
going to say it's a
spread
way to
awareness.
branch out.
Mm-hmm.
But originally it was like, come see the man with the full body tattoo suit.
Yeah.
Like it was like almost a freak show
It was
stuff.
like a bearded
right?
lady kind of situation.
Right, exactly. It was.
I did
billed
see some
more like
bearded
that.
ladies at tattoo
There you go.
conventions and
course.
and
And you
like
still would.
contortionists and
Yeah,
stuff.
hell
That's
yeah.
what I always
You
went
still
for.
would see that stuff, but that's not the intention anymore.
Yeah.
So if we can see these people all over the place anyway, if bearded lady has social media, you can follow her and see her beard every day if you want,
Yeah.
theoretically, right?
I don't know. I do think it's fun to get like, because at conventions there's always those artists that like travel with the convention, and sometimes you're not gonna go to like LA and get a tattoo, but
Yeah.
maybe that artist is actually at the
That part
convention
is
in your
nice.
city. That's nice, but that can be fixed by like more artists doing like tours to shops,
Yeah.
which I think should happen more.
Well, not right now, obviously,
No,
but
after COVID.
my big problem with the convention idea is I don't really want to be necessarily part of that crowd. The hipster tattoo crowd
Yeah.
has always irritated me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a bit of a
the
lone
weird
wolf.
the weird elitism that comes with it.
Well, I had some guy attacking me just last night, and he's like name dropping tattoo artists he's had work on him.
There's a
and
lot
stuff.
of that.
And I was just like, I don't know who the hell any of these people are, and I could give a single shit for any of them. Like, I've always
one?
been the guy who's like, any good artist can more or less execute a similar design. Now, that being said, I do appreciate that some people excel at certain art styles.
Mm-hmm.
But like this cult of like worship that happens almost over a particular artist sometimes bothers me more than anything, where it's like, yeah, okay, he did a cool tattoo, but someone else could have done a cool tattoo too. It would have been a little different, but like this hero worship, I don't like celebrity in general, I guess I should say. It's probably come across already that I think all of it is a bit
I mean,
silly.
maybe a little.
I was gonna say, says the celebrity.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't like that whole thing. Like, I don't even like the term influencer. I know that's technically what you would call me, but I have a very counterculture kind of outlook on all of it. I think it's all silly.
Well, it is technically silly, even though it is commerce now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cloud is king, right?
Yeah, weirdly
But-
enough.
Like, I don't love that hipsterism of like, I got tattooed by this person. Like, yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
mean-
my guy down the road did some great work from me.
Yeah.
Like I've never needed to get the big name tattoo
Mm-hmm.
because now I'm in the stratosphere of the size of my page where people will level those sorts of attacks at me.
Yeah.
You haven't been tattooed by anyone. All of your work has been done by Joe Blow from down the road. You're in shithole Canada. Like, where have you been? It's like, yeah, where did I need to go?
Yeah.
Like, I did what I wanted to do. I've always got what I wanted for the most part done.
Well, and most of those things usually come with location and price bracket.
Yeah.
Like, if you can afford to go get a $10,000 piece, you're gonna go get a $10,000 piece.
Maybe.
But in terms of the margin of how much better it is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be someone that can do it for far less. They're not gonna be necessarily in that top last few percentile, but they're gonna swing and get it real close.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's where, like, none of us really need perfect tattoos necessarily, in my opinion.
No.
Like, they can be, as long as they're a 9 out of 10, I think that's good enough.
Mhm.
That 10 out of 10, you almost don't notice the difference.
Well, I think 10 out of 10 is probably not possible because as much as I like a fresh tattoo, a tattoo is it on the person over time. Like, that is a tattoo.
Yeah, how is it
And-
going to age?
Well, and just like it's going to live in a body different than it is in other bodies. You could do the same tattoo on two different people and it's going to be different for each person.
So I really have enjoyed your little aesthetic that you've been building so far. You haven't done too many posts, but
No.
it's like healed fresh.
Selected.
Healed
Yeah.
Well,
fresh.
I like that.
That's like something that I really want to lean into.
Yeah.
Is like, I know it puts me at a disadvantage in
It
terms
will.
of time.
Yeah, and
But-
it'll also de-incentivize you and the algorithm a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, like, I think that if you work that into your brand,
Yeah.
it might eventually not.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because my fresh stuff, when I post fresh versus healed,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, healed never wins
Yeah, of course.
ever.
It's not shiny.
But
Yeah.
that being said, if you were to build a solid feed of just healed and fresh, like healed fresh, it might start to bend that way to where all your posting is that. So
Well, I think just like a good amount of it, like if I, because the issue with taking a photo of a fresh tattoo, like, did you see the links I did?
yeah,
So it's puffy and angry, and it looks fine, but it doesn't look as good as it did the next day when I looked at it, because all that stuff kind of calms down, and you can kind of see the fact that everything's a little bit more together. But you really don't get that until it's fully healed, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's what I was aiming at. You know what I mean?
right. And the way that people combat this, like the puffy and the red, like to get that day one, makes the picture look drab.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like
all the
take
filters.
all you,
Yeah,
well, you
take out all the life.
like 100% saturation.
Yeah.
And then it's like this lifeless
Yeah.
picture.
And then it's like, if I can't get a photo, like, and there's something to the idea of understanding expectation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the idea that someone gets a photo and thinks that it's like, sees a photo on Instagram and it's this like perfect piece, but then goes and gets the tattoo of something similar and it's like puffy and angry and whatever, because it's however their skin's going to be on the day, right?
Yeah.
But like the end result is really what I care about.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have a tattoo that I can be happy looking at a year from now, and then, or 10 years from now or whatever, than that perfect photo on day one.
That's why I'm enjoying, like, I think really enjoying YouTube in a way more than anything I've ever done on Instagram, even though YouTube is small. Because, like, we're not going to edit this.
No.
It's going to go straight up.
Yeah.
My vlogs, I don't know how to edit those. Someone asked me to put pictures in those the other day.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen.
Like,
well, we can do it.
Oh, I know, but, like,
I can do it.
Yeah.
We don't have a computer at home.
my
though,
my
so
point
it's a
is,
little
like,
harder.
I'm doing almost nothing to anything that's going
Yeah.
up.
Well, I think there's like two different levels that people seem to enjoy. It's like super high Avengers level production
Yeah.
or none at all.
Yeah. Well,
Because the in
that's what
between,
you're getting with us for the most part,
yeah,
right?
pretty well. I mean, the most edited stuff would be what Remy reacts, because we add another
Yeah.
element.
Got
yeah,
the
yeah.
picture.
Other than that, it's like audio, video. Here it
But
goes.
it's nice to see that people can appreciate that,
Yeah.
even on a small level, because like you just can't do stuff like that on Instagram. Like nothing,
No.
nothing works. If
Well,
you
that's-
just post reality.
But like, I don't get that.
I don't either.
It's
I
pretty
wish-
awful.
I
Yeah.
wish we could all just be like, okay, so we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fine.
Well, that was like Humble the Poet just put up a little thing on his Instagram, which is like, we are a generation of sad people with pretty photos.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've said similar things to that myself, like where it's like photos are not what they used to be, right?
No.
Like they're just hollow. And indeed, like the algorithm incentivizes all kinds of content. I was explaining this to my coworker the other day. He was complaining about like outrage content. And I was like, the biggest problem about outrage content, this is where they'll go for like, guess what so-and-so did today? Guess what I'm like, that guy's buttering his bread the same way I am.
Mm-hmm.
The person who wrote that article
Yep.
is just making content for the day. It's just a post a day. It's incentivizing like destructive, hateful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't even really fault the person who did it because it's like they're
No,
doing
they're
what
just
they
trying
have
to make.
to do.
They're just trying to make a living.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just such a bad model.
Well, I mean, this could lead into a bigger discussion of like commerce in general, because like we're kind of all like the goods and services trading for living thing. Like we're kind of leeching off of each other in many respects, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, a weird idea if you lean too far into it.
I agree. To get out of that, because I did want to know your worst tattoo story.
Oh yeah.
I asked, but we never got back to it.
I don't think I really have a worst tattoo because I've been spoiled in that regard.
You've only worked with Lee, right?
Well, for
Lee
my
and-
sleeves is all Lee, and then
You've had Scott and Rick tattoo you.
Scott. I've had Adam, Kuba, John,
Yes,
Alex,
yeah.
Dylan, June. Like, they're all good artists.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think would be, like, I also let people experiment. Like, my Scott's first real realism piece was on me. That's the Raven and Skull, and that just took a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a calf.
Yeah,
we-
longer than you would want to pay for, like
Well, it
big
was
bucks for. Kind
we
of
did
thing.
3 sessions, and it ended up being like 9.5 hours. He could do the same piece in like 3 hours now.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But it was just his first kind of foray into it. Same with Adam. I've got half of a skull on this side that's kind of just finishing, or he would probably needs 2 hours to finish it, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
I got one of those.
Yeah, right. Everybody's, I feel like, has one of those in some way, shape, or form. But that one was also particularly painful because he had never done anything like it before.
Told the story about when I had Adam doing that bat
Mm-hmm.
on my top of my thigh here, and we were like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And at 3 hours, he was working this same section for like 45 minutes. And I said to him, I was like, "You're done there now, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's enough. Like I can tell you right now, everything you're doing now is gonna fall out
Yeah.
because that's done."
Yeah.
And it's not me being, because I've never tapped out ever.
No.
It was just an acknowledgement of I've seen this happen before enough to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like that was my wrist in a
Yeah.
nutshell, where it's like sometimes the more you do, the more you lose.
Well, again, a lot of people don't understand what happens to the skin after
Yeah.
a while, and what like your body's hermetic response, stress response. I don't know, but just it makes it way harder for the skin to take ink. It changes the surface tension of how it reacts, and you're not gonna get anything done on it at that point in time.
Started like to where it felt like he started to doubt what he was originally doing, and then started darkening things, and
Yeah.
then before long there was no breathing room to that tattoo.
Yeah, that's a scary place to be because like there's also another thing of like when you're newer to tattooing is like this feeling that you have to do more.
I think all art is like that, where
Yeah.
you like you have to learn to finish, and even if because sometimes you don't feel like it's finished and you want to add more, but you need to be able to like step back and look at it and be like, this is finished, or force yourself to say this is finished, because often you'll go over that edge and
Yeah.
go from having like a really nice piece to a not as nice piece
Yeah.
as what it could have been.
Yeah, you just loaded it down too far. You couldn't see the forest through the trees kind of thing. But that's where like he should have asked questions or something. You know what I mean, some sort of stoppage would have been that's one of the things that I've noticed about anybody coming up in tattooing, the really good ones, the ones that get good really fast, ask all the questions. They're always asking
Yeah,
questions.
don't assume you already know.
It's always impressive to me when like an artist will call the rest of their shop mates over and be like, "What do you think of this? Is this shading good? Should I shade it like this?" Or
Yeah.
like, they have that like conversation because to me that means that they're like learning and questioning, and if they're not feeling comfortable with like maybe how that is looking, then they're brave enough to be like, "Hey, you maybe do this better. Like, how does this look? Should
Yeah.
I add this?" Right? Like, I always think that's always a good sign to me when
Well,
someone
that's
does that. I'm
that's
like,
a sign of like healthy ego or
Yeah.
something like that, where it's like you're not just this lone wolf out there doing whatever you want. Like
you don't know
can-
everything.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like the best stance to be in because we don't know everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's true.
So I wanted to ask, your last tattoo was, I think, what was it, the Totoro?
Oh yeah, my Totoro on
She
my
has a
leg.
Totoro tattoo, which is a Studio Ghibli movie.
Studio gibbling?
Yeah,
It's like an
Ghibli.
anime
Those are all words, I believe you, but
Yeah,
I've never
like
heard
a-
of them.
Ghibli. Yeah.
cat creature.
It's like
Naturally.
a big
Cat.
balloon-shaped cat
He's big and fat and cute.
that
We'll
she
just go
had
with
done.
that.
This makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It's mostly dot work, actually.
Yeah.
So
Man.
that one wasn't very painful, right?
Oh no, that felt great.
That was.
It was the most light-handed artist ever.
I was gonna ask you, how is Scott for tattooing? I keep telling her I think he's pretty light-handed, but I have no idea really.
Yeah, I have like, again, for me it's a little bit different because he was figuring things out. So
Right.
in my area, he was probably working at places more than he needed to.
Yeah, well that's
But
different.
yeah, in terms of his handedness, I think he's pretty gentle. He's efficient too, which is super helpful.
I like efficient.
Yeah, I've never been tattooed by him, so when she's asking me these questions, I'm like,
You're doing floral?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I'm sure it'll be easy.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty darn gentle. He pulls lines really well.
Yeah, he's got nice lines.
I don't particularly like the feeling of getting stippled.
oh, I don't mind that at all.
That dragging feeling. I
I
just
don't mind it too much.
No?
It depends on how much you've already been worked, though.
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
Because it kind of gets annoying. I don't like being wiped. Like when
Yeah.
I've had artists that like wipe a lot, and that's like the worst.
Rick is a hard wiper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
and hard. I feel like the heavy-handed guys always wipe
Oh,
really
yeah.
hard too.
Yeah, no, there's
well, it's like everything goes heavy-handed then.
Yeah.
there's no one more like wipe heavy than Rick that I've been with. where
I
it's just
understand though,
You
because
know
like,
what I mean?
man, he like I've done
I'm so used to it, I don't even notice.
well, especially like on you, everything's black.
No, we're into this
Probably
stuff.
hard to see.
Yeah, it's probably really hard to see exactly what the hell's going on, and not to mention like the
You kept coming over when we were doing these roses. Like, how do you know what you're doing? Where are you?
seriously.
Like, it seems like you were having anxiety for him.
Yeah, I was.
It's all about getting the light at the right angle, I bet.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the other thing. I was standing right in a glare, so it was one of those like obviously wherever he was standing wasn't as bad, but like when I came over, it was just like there's just shine and black.
It was so shiny.
I couldn't see any of the stencil, and it was just one of those like, are you just throwing darts at a board, man, or?
Well, and Rick was like, "Well, wait here. Kevin's coming back. We're gonna get some pics." And it's like glowing, shiny. It's like, how do we take pictures of this?
You don't. You really don't. You can take great photos of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're calmed down and they look so cool. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
ridiculous.
happy. They look
Envious.
like a charcoal drawing or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
a good way to describe them.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
charcoal drawing.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, even today, like, not getting tattooed now, but we're laying it out, apparently, figuring it out.
Yay.
Like, even up until just a few days ago, I still wasn't sure, and I still not really sure, like, just how much can be done. Like, it's
Oh, I
in
mean,
scope. It's just, my brain is, like, pulsing. Like, it's terrifying and exciting and
you're
anxiety.
in uncharted waters.
Yeah.
You're the you're looking for India right now.
Well, and the other thing is it's kind of like
That's a
you
good way
can
to put it.
do more or less as much as you want to some extent, because like we could technically, if we wanted to, like add white to places too to
Yes.
add even more depth. But
Well, you're going to end up with this healed white, which is just a subtle tone above, which I love. Like
Right.
that looks so cool.
But then, like, the more we've done, the more confident you become, and then
Yeah.
it's like you learn new tricks too along the way.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched Rick get better at this already,
Yeah.
and we've only done so much so far.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I don't want to like I was originally like, well, we'll do some filigree, and then it's like, okay, we'll try a rose. Oh, we'll do the moon. Okay, so now we're doing a whole torso.
Yeah.
And originally it was like, let's do my stomach, and now it's like, no, because I see what's happening here. We better think big, or else.
Yeah. You're gonna run out of space immediately. And
Well,
then you're gonna be like, okay, let's black it out again.
and not just
That's
run out of space,
that's what I'm waiting
but like,
for.
I know.
I don't want to add some stuff that makes up this part, and then go, man, I really wish I had a thought bigger,
Yeah.
because now I have to add stuff.
Well, now I think you guys understand what you're gonna get from each, in my opinion. Like, at least I'm sure Rick can see it and go, oh, okay. You know what
I
I mean?
think he knows even better than me.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
I hope so.
He's
No, but
probably
like-
got a plan.
Yeah.
Like what I'm saying is like he seems to have more certainty than I expected he would,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of like, is this a thing?
Well, all he needs to know is how he put it in, which he
Yeah.
knows, and what it heals.
Yeah.
And he's got both of those. So it's
Yeah.
one of those, like, now his mind's probably going like, okay. I know for a fact he doesn't want to do any more of this.
Yeah.
You're the only one.
This is the only project he wants to do for this. A, because it's cool. You know, it's not someone coming like, hey, can I also just throw a mandala over top of it? Nothing against mandalas, but it just, that's kind of what
Yeah.
most
It's no
people
fun.
would go for, right? But like, you're wanting to explore the boundaries of what's possible, which for him, that's like extra, 100%. He loves it.
Can I ask a bad question?
Yeah, there are
Maybe
no
a bad question, but so like all of your black, all of Jeremy's black, and the black on black is probably done with the same ink,
Yep.
right? So what would happen if you took maybe a different brand of ink
So-
that has a different color to the pigment?
You
Like,
can.
Do you think that would make a big difference?
That's a lot of like when people do like two-tone blackouts or something like
Yeah.
that. A lot of it is that they're using it's a slightly thicker
Mm-hmm.
black. I don't think for this, I don't think it would matter as much.
I've been
because-
curious.
Yeah, it would be interesting to try though.
I just think that because of how we're doing this, though, it doesn't matter so much what color the black is, because what part of what's blown my mind is the idea, and we talked about it last time, about how I have already been blacked out so many times.
Yeah.
And it's really consistent and solid mostly everywhere, yet we can still get a more solid black over it with a liner.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters what color you make that ink as long as you're lining it.
That is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're using a liner, you're packing the ink in differently than if
That
you
it's
are
like
with a
if you
mag.
had a liner and you just kept going, would it stay as dark or would it disperse and become less dark? Like, it's strange.
Well, that was why I was saying like we should probably look at blacking out your palm or your fingers or something with a liner and do
Yeah.
it in dots.
Right? I think that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would be, I mean, easier to maintain. You don't have to have a crazy healing every single time.
Yeah.
One finger at a time.
Yeah, or even like a knuckle at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the trouble spots.
Yeah,
You can
the
just do
knuckles.
it to the way that you want to do it. But at the same time, like the liner's a big part of it. We could try a blacker black, but dynamic black
It's pretty black.
is pretty black. They make one that's called a triple black, which is just
Yeah.
the like that same black, and it's just rendered down further. But I've seen that black healed, and I don't really think you'd be. I think it'd be very similar, to be honest with you.
I don't think there's
Eh.
much different. I think, like, I see a lot of black workers use, like, Panthera,
Yeah, that's what I've got.
but I think that they're sponsored by it. You know what I mean?
They are. They do a different thing. This is one of the reasons that I got into Panthera ink. They treat it on us. They do some sort of cellular treatment to help it stay resistant to UV.
Oh, cool.
That's their main thing. So
Yeah.
it's like they're trying to make the tattoos seem to have a little bit more of a shine to them afterwards, which I guess is from this treatment. But it's supposedly to help the longevity of the tattoo due to
Would
this
actually
treatment.
be good for your black work. Because,
Probably.
I mean, you're like a sun magnet. if anybody's wondering.
Yeah, well.
Jeremy doesn't like going out in the sun because
You're a literal magnet.
black skin equals
Yeah.
pain, and you
Super
can't tell
hot.
if it's burned. And I think you used to burn pretty
By really fair
easily.
skin.
Yeah,
so,
you're fair skinned, so that's a curious.
Yeah.
You should do a little patch and see what happens.
I mean, we could certainly try it. I mean, my guess is it'll probably come out pretty similar.
I think it's.
Probably.
Because
I think people don't understand that most of what makes it more or less black is the artist's application, right, and where it's going in the skin.
yeah,
like-
and needle size and
Oh yeah, for
all
sure.
that stuff.
But like
things are
people
different.
think it, they want to think that it's some magic that goes into the ink or something. It's not about that.
Well, and not to mention, when it comes down to it, it's getting shown through your skin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people forget that tattoos are always underneath.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Different skin tone. The black will show different.
Oh yeah, like my
Right.
black is a completely different color of black than Jeremy's because I have like an olivey skin
Yeah,
tone.
exactly.
Right, and so like my colors probably never are as like vibrant like pow, but you know
They
I
used to
take
have-
orange like great.
They used to have this. One of the ink manufacturers used to have a, which I thought was super helpful, but they took it down because of the way that the world is right now. But it was you can select what colors will sing through what tones of skin.
Oh,
So they would show people with different tones of skin, and then you could click on that tone of skin, and then it'll show you the colors that will sing through that tone.
oh, that's
and
such
not
a
get
bummer that they
manipulated.
took it down.
Right?
It's such a bummer.
Like, to me, that was one of those, like, just like what we were talking about with the color over black.
Yeah.
Like, you have to understand your color theory in order to understand what it's going to look like later. And this is the same thing with any skin tone.
We had a conversation early on in the podcast about wouldn't it be nice if there was like an app that showed you what a tattoo would look like 5 years from now,
Yeah.
10 years from now, 15 years from now.
Yep.
All that. I don't know how you could do that though, because it's all on how the artist did it and the
Yeah.
ink that was used and how you
And that
treat
person's
it.
body and how
Yeah.
it adjusts ink and all that
Your
stuff.
diet, your
Yeah.
exercise, all
Oh,
kinds
yeah.
of stuff. If you get in an accident or
Well, I'm sure some people's like body just rejects it more than others too.
yeah.
Yeah, we all have different
For
like
sure.
sensitivities and allergies. I'm constantly dealing with the one that I've got right now, which is really annoying. I've got one of the reds that was used in one of my.
Oh,
I have an
You're
allergic
allergic
reaction
to it. I'm
I've
always
heard a
worried
lot of
about that. I have an acquaintance that was allergic to alcohol, and there's lots of alcohol in ink. I think.
Yeah.
So she had to request the artist that she go to use a specific ink
Yeah.
because it didn't have alcohol in it.
Yeah.
Because I think one previous tattoo that she had gotten, it would always like flare up because it was that alcohol based ink.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. I didn't know.
'Cause
I didn't know
inks
that was
are-
a thing.
Like pigments and things like that are pretty much all standardized now. Like you have to use a certain type of black, and then the way that they do all the rest of it is the thing that makes their ink brand different.
Yeah.
Like you can see, there's that world famous up there, the little orange bottle.
Yeah.
That's what they mix their charcoal color with, or the black, like the carbon.
Yeah.
Gets mixed with that.
Oh.
So their whole thing ends up having this kind of like orangey hue to it.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that they keep in their ink, and they send along a mixing solution, so you're not just throwing water in their black.
Yeah. Well, I don't really. It's kind of weird to throw water in. I always think
It-
that's so weird.
it happens
Why
a
are you
lot.
putting water in there?
Well, I mean, water is good for you.
I mean, it works. It works.
Yeah.
But you know.
A lot of times if you pour a lot of ink caps too, right?
Yeah.
And you want them keep them from drying out. So
Well, and like depending on the certain colors, like that lynx that I was doing, I was
Yeah.
using an opaque gray technique, and opaque grays are really thick.
Yep.
So I had to keep
Dilute it.
Yeah, well, I have to keep a thing of water right above those inks, so I can dip in the ink and then dip in the
Does it
water
dry
right
up
away.
as it sits?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Okay. See,
I've had some
these are
opaque
things that
gray
you
done
don't
on
know
me.
if you've never. If you've never tattooed, you wouldn't
Yeah.
know. You would. I mean, I just assume that the ink stays liquidy.
No,
but you
over
know.
time, well, because like the water starts to evaporate out of it, but then also like white pigment. If there's a lot of white pigment in there, that tends to
Well,
get
yeah, because it's
dried.
drier. Even like white paint is always thicker. So
So that's why you
that
don't
makes
pour the white
sense.
until the end.
And yeah, that's also why you don't pour all your ink caps at the very start
Yep.
too.
Learning
Yeah.
things.
You end up drying out through. But it's always funny to me. I've had people ask me how much black ink I think I have in me, how many bottles of dynamic black.
You got a few bottles.
I wonder how many.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even be able to hazard a guess.
You'd be a good advertisement for Dynamic Black.
They should sponsor me.
You should
Yeah.
start tagging them in your posts and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't think they're interested. I don't think
Probably
I
not.
don't think that they want that connection. Like I think Panthera likes the connection of black work.
Yeah.
Like, dynamic black is like general purpose, I think.
I think you'll also see that there's some companies that are more like community driven,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's some more that are like product driven. I think
Yep.
Dynamic's pretty product driven.
Yeah, they're not doing the like big social media game. Panthera's really on that.
Oh yeah.
I see them quite a bit on the Explore page. Even.
Yep.
Like they've got sponsorships with lots of big guys like Hood and
Yeah.
I think Three Crosses use Panthera. Different big beam black workers use that ink, and they're always tagging them. And then they'll feature those guys on their page too.
Yeah.
So it's a symbiotic thing that's going on there.
It's
And-
I think it's a nice ink to use.
It's
Personally.
not. I'm not saying anything about. I'm just saying what I've seen.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's a difference necessarily.
I'm sure there is,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell you specifically what it is.
Like if you were to do both of my arms, one with black, dynamic black, and one with Panthera, I wonder which one would be, or if they'd be darker, or if they'd just be a different shade, or.
I think you'd want more control too. You'd want like the same artist.
Oh, sure.
And then
Yeah.
you'd want it in like the same area, and then you'd want a different artist to do the two different ones, because I bet you, I mean, I think probably if you're used to using one,
You know how it heals,
you know
yeah.
how to work with it, right? You're probably better at using that one.
My thing though, like, because when you look at the construction of how it is, how the stuff is, the thing that's left over when it's healing, that's still just carbon.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of the carrier agents are gonna be the things that are floating around in you afterwards. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
those
Like
will
when it
break down.
settles.
Yeah.
So like I have a hard time understanding why anything would be. I think it would probably mostly come down to application.
Mm-hmm.
It has to.
Yeah, it has to.
You know what I mean? That's where like
Huh.
they always talk about like, oh, my blacks are pretty black or whatever, and that's application usually. Everybody's using the same black for the most part.
It's like Lee and Rick both use the same black, but Lee would say he told me you should really get some blackout done by Rick. If he blacks something out, it'll stay black forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, those are his words.
Yep.
That's not a knock on anyone.
No.
It's just Lee said that to me quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was obviously when Lee left, I was gonna go, get some blackout done by Rick.
Yep.
And there was
But-
a difference.
There is a difference.
There was.
but it's not a clear win.
No.
Because like the stuff that Lee did on me, I found overall a bit smoother. Like it was like we said about his style of how he saturates
Yep.
is more round. It's more like flowing, right? So you don't get those stop and starts as
Yeah.
much. But having all that smooth black and then just a darker top layer,
Yeah.
it's already pretty smooth. So now it's just darker,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having that finishing touch from Rick was kind of a master stroke, I guess.
Makes sense.
I've seen so many black arms lately, and I see like the patchiness in them, and I'm just like, God, I'm so glad that isn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many of them being done now.
Well, and there's so many of them not being touched up.
Oh, I know, and that drives me nuts. 'Cause
Yeah.
it really doesn't look good if it's not maintained.
No. And like, if I understand it correctly, that just means that like when the blackout was done, it was just not like the artist wasn't hanging out in the same layer of skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like because depending on where you sit in the skin, the ink's gonna either stay a certain layer, like a certain level of black, or it's gonna lighten up because it's too shallow or something like that. So which I get it. It's like the whole skin changes as you go through it. It's not the easiest thing to navigate, but that's also where like I know blackout seems so simple, but it's not.
No.
If you want it to look nice and be saturated off the hop, there's a reason those guys like Hood and all those guys are so famous, because like the proof is in the pudding. It's not an easy thing to do unless you are good at it.
True.
Would you ever black out?
I actually really like blackout tattoos, I think that
that's
I
good.
liked them before Remy did. I used to always be like, oh, those like black arms look so good, and he'd be like, nah, not for me.
Yeah, it's just
Not really my thing.
Like,
Like
what
a
a
really
waste of
long time
space.
ago. Yeah, he'd be like, oh, that's a waste of space. I'm like, no, like I think it looks really good.
Like,
Always.
I would never say it to someone, but my opinion on it was always like, that's what a total waste.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, I just didn't have enough experience yet.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, but what are you going to do when you're done? Well, I guess I'll continue somehow, and this is how, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
then it's, before long, you're blacking out things that were perfectly fine just because you like to.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
it
it's
started
like,
with blacking out something you really hated, and
not
then
hate- I didn't,
well, I mean,
it wasn't great.
there was parts of it that you really hated.
Yeah, there was
We'll
definitely
go with
parts of it
that.
that I hated, but
And then
You wouldn't want it on you right now.
no.
Yeah,
It looked like the wrist.
it was really problematic.
Yeah.
You had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
With the fire.
Oh man, yeah.
With the fire, it was not. It was looking pretty weird. But yeah, I feel like I helped push you along in that black sleeve
Yeah.
Pursuit.
pursuit. I'd always be like, look at this picture of this cool black sleeve.
That's
How
good
this
pressure.
looks.
Sarah will be one to do, as you called it, black round,
Oh yeah.
right?
Probably. Yeah.
I like black round.
I like it.
Cool.
She's talked about wanting to do like a Halloween.
Yeah, I
sleeve
wanna do
with,
Halloween.
like little like colorful sticker kind of Halloween guys.
Yeah.
Not
and then
colorful. Just orange and black.
Orange and black. but colorful
That's pretty
enough.
colorful.
But then black in behind it all, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Black out and behind it
Yep.
as a background.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
Helps everything stand out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I was thinking about doing it for my current arm that's tattooed, but I don't know how we're gonna
can't
navigate it. So I think
possibly imagine.
I'm just gonna fill it with random
Like
stuff.
it's just too dark now.
I know. I got too many weird stickers.
to leave like spots
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, you'd have like little tiny triangles and things.
I know
of
it would
black
be really
work.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or you could do like just a soft shade in behind everything.
maybe
You could do like dots.
we talked about doing dots
is most
before.
likely what
Yeah.
I would think.
That would be an absolute nightmare.
I know.
It's that
probably
sort of
suck.
American traditional problem.
Yeah.
I'm
is
just gonna
what's going on there.
just put random junk in there.
I do like
Yeah.
patterns.
Mm.
Like
Oh.
find cool patterns that you like
Yeah, that's
and
a
then
cool
do it
idea.
in like soft dots. 'Cause just it gives more like flow.
Yeah.
Because you can
Like-
kind of then dictate the flow of the arm then.
Twinkly stars and stuff here or there,
Yeah,
maybe.
spider webs. I've seen that before.
You could do just like a whole thing of spider webs like flowing up your arm kind of thing. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
cool.
That would work.
Yep.
Ah, good.
The gap filler thing
good
is like a
plan.
hard thing to figure out.
Yeah.
It is, especially when like you have a mostly good premise,
Yeah.
but then you just start adding strange things to places.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what like I
That's what you
posted
did.
that torso picture of me last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
like my old one, and like so many people, obviously a lot of people really like that suit, but like I looked at it and each piece of it really bothers me, but as a whole it kind of looks okay.
Well, that's one of those things too that like anytime you're seeing a bodysuit from a distance,
Yeah.
that's one thing because it's an impressive thing. You know what I mean? Like as an entity, it's like, oh, bodysuit,
Yeah.
cool. And then you can kind of go closer and analyze it and then pick it apart. And since it's on you, you would be close
it's
and
like
looking
too much
at it all the time.
goofy stuff, like the hands and the bat and like the star here.
And when you were getting them, I was like, why are you putting that there? And you're like, why not?
Well, I need to figure out what to put here. It's like
Yeah,
I
that's
need
a
to
big
put
struggle.
this thing here, and it kind of looks cool. And
So
it
if you were
fills
talking to your
spot.
younger self, and that younger self was going like bodysuit, would you just say like? Because the thing that I'm always curious about is like, would you then just go like, "Hey, tattoo artist, I want to do a suit. I want to do a bodysuit. This is the theme. Do it." Or would you still want that much control over it?
I
for you?
don't think I change anything about what I did. I think that in order to get to the place I am now, I needed to do this.
Oh, of course.
But if I was counseling someone else,
Yeah.
it would be like going with a broad picture, like what I'm talking about this torso and how I want to have like a good amount of idea of what I want to do now before I even draw the first line.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's go the whole thing.
Yeah.
And because I didn't do that the first time, and then I ended up adding goofy stuff in places, and
Understandable.
things weren't big enough.
Yeah.
Like those tentacles weren't big enough. They could have been bigger.
Yeah.
They could have taken up more real estate and looked way cooler.
And they could have not gone onto your back.
Yeah, that was another,
The war over space.
which was absolutely ridiculous.
It's so weird.
But I want to do that now. So that's probably what I would tell a young person, is to have like an idea of what they want it to be before they draw the first line. Not necessarily on your arms. I think you can have a little more fun with that stuff sometimes. But like if you're doing a torso tattoo, I really feel like you should make that whole thing one piece. That's what I was trying to do. But the first time I did it, it was like I built it so big thinking that was a stopping point.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, but I want the whole thing done now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have to add things.
But you didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that, like, this is probably a very common conversation that I have to have with people a lot, which is like, okay, just think 2 or 3 steps ahead of this tattoo.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Well,
especially
I do that now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's like the coaching that I have to go through is like, what is your overall plans for your body? Because this is how this might impede your plans later.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we get a lot of those things where it's like, hey, now I want a sleeve and I've got these things and sorry, they're in.
You gotta go around them.
Yeah, good luck making it all look good. But that's one of those things where it's like the big one for me that I always see is the guys with the cuff thing. When
Yeah.
they're trying to do a cuff, or like anyone trying to do an armband or something like that.
The
That's
tree sleeve thing.
or even just an armband in general. Those things are popular right now, and it's like I always have to kind of say like, okay, you're limiting yourself now, and
Right.
you need to understand that, because if you don't understand that, you're going to be like, shit, I really didn't want to not be able to get tattooed further,
Yeah.
because you're cutting yourself wherever that is. You're cutting your arm off at that point.
Right.
And you have to be cool with getting a bunch of random little stickers.
Yeah.
Because that's basically all you can get at that point.
Yeah.
Because I did that to myself. I got a tattoo, like, tiniest little thing right here. And then I was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do now? I guess I'm going to have to, like, stick something here and something here that's not very substantial.
Yeah.
I like fridge magnets, though. That's, like,
That's good.
I'm good with it. But if I was going for, like, a full sleeve,
Yeah.
that would have been such, like...
And we get that a lot, where it's like, oh crap, I did it. Whoopsies.
10 pounds of crap in a
Yeah.
5-pound bag.
Yeah. And I know that people are excited to get tattoos, and that's totally understandable, but you know, that's I think a responsible thing within the industry is we have to be kind of making sure that people understand where they're going. And because usually if you get one tattoo, you're getting more tattoos.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. Whether it's now or 10 years from now, it's going to happen. So
You get the itch.
think about what you want yourself to look like later, and then you
Yeah.
can kind of give it some forethought and not just like limit yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm more or less okay with the fact that I built my first torso the way I did, and then have blacked it out, and now have opened up this new box of goodies in a way, because it's like it will be more subtle, but it can be better orchestrated, and more subtle is probably better for me anyway. Like I don't really like all that red was just so loud. I don't even know what I was doing putting that there in a way. Like I do know, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because it was like
Well, you're a different human now.
got carried away, right? Like it was just like I wanted all of this at some point.
Yeah.
And then it's just like keeping a promise to yourself.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm following through. Look at that.
Yeah.
And then
No,
it's like, wow, this is loud. It's kind of
It was
bubblegummy.
so loud.
Can I turn down this
It
volume?
had more of like a punk rock feel to me, or like
Yeah.
a American traditional vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
would
that's
agree.
not actually anything that I like necessarily as an aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean the like stars and things like that. That was like kind of probably when I was starting to get inspired with tattoos too, where it was like that was super cool in like the early
Yeah.
2000s.
Well, what, like the nautical star?
Nautical stars, or even just like because you had those kind of exploding
like
star things.
Kapows and
Yeah, like there was just I don't know if it was just that time that was what was doable. That was what most places were offering. Even like if you go back and watch like Miami Ink nowadays,
yeah.
it's like people going in and getting like, I want a little star that has a happy. Like what?
Yeah. Well,
This was a TV show.
that's
Crazy.
why I say my old suit kind of felt like something from a different era, even
Yeah.
though it wasn't,
Yep.
because it was inspired by a different era and just acted out at a later age.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, oh, this is kind of like 90s looking in a way, but the reds were super bright. Like, it was bright.
Well, you holding. Well,
He does hold it
your
well.
skin is pale. It lets
But,
things sing.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've always been. I listen to like the darkest, meanest, slowest metal, and like wear all black. I used to wear eyeliner, black nail polish, and trench coats and stuff. Like, why have I got this bright red suit? Just didn't really.
Except when we met, and you wore that shirt that was
Yeah.
like stripy,
Well-
bright colors. He had a bright color stage. When we met, I was like, "What is?
I
what are
still
you
wear
wearing?"
color. Like,
No, like
but
really bright.
Not today, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, like it's one of those things where my sensibilities as a person were always like more drab and dark than.
Yep.
So the candy poppy punky look that I had going, it's just didn't play into my aesthetic
Yeah.
well, or like who I see myself as.
The persona.
Even if I was like even if I wasn't social media Remy,
Yeah.
that doesn't really suit me. You know, like the blackout, because I've always thought the blackout might have been stretched out by social media. Like I maybe went farther because I got more influenced by what I was seeing and stuff. But even if you take that element away from it, it still suits me better as a person.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
So
It makes way
it's-
more sense.
Yeah, I
That was
don't know.
also one of the reasons that as you were going like, oh, I want to get things blacked out, I was always just like, yeah, you should. It's cool.
It's better for me.
Me,
Sure.
me too. I was like, "Yay!"
You could
More
have your
blackouts.
ideal bodysuit. What would it be?
I would get rid of any color tattoos I have
What
for
about
my
flag?
ideal for my ideal
Guys, you just work
bodysuit.
them in.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Just
pretty.
everything is just so like ornamental and flowy, and then there's just this green
Right.
skull.
It would just be a lot of
Frank?
really
Yeah.
spooky black work and some floral here and there. I don't know. Maybe a black arm eventually.
I hear you.
I don't really plan. I'm not a good planner. I'm more of a like, I want this thing and I'm going to put it here and we'll just work around it later because I like stickers.
I have a similar thing, but it's not. I don't do individual things. I do individual pieces of my body. So it was like when
you
I was
start
thinking
with
of
an
getting
arm.
a tattoo, it was like, oh, I'm getting a sleeve,
Yeah.
and that is one piece in my mind. And then it was like, oh, I want a Japanese traditional sleeve because that is one piece in my mind. And then
Yeah.
the skull leg is like, oh, I just want a leg sleeve of different skulls in different styles from different people, like my collection thing. But that was never that. I would still consider that kind of one tattoo.
Yeah, that's like one
you know.
section.
And then this one's going to be Marvel, and it's like that's always so in my mind. I've got 4.
Who do you get first? Marvel.
Well, I mean, I've got kind of the Hulk and Captain America.
Yeah, yeah.
I know Thanos is going to be somewhere on the upper thigh. I know Thor is going to be down here. Spider-Man's in there. A lot of them.
Do you think you'll ever reach completion? Like fill your body completely? Or do you
Depends
think
what you mean by
always-
completely.
Well, like say 80%, because that's a bodysuit to me, where
Yeah.
like it's almost all done.
No head.
Yeah,
no
because
hands,
like
Sophie?
whenever Alex comes back, we were going to start my back.
Yeah.
What
What do you got planned for that?
I don't know, whatever he wants to do.
Here you go.
Yeah.
There's
Big
your-
open space.
Your wild card.
Yeah, I love those neo-traditional looking back pieces, like the big faces and kind of ornamental looking thing. I'm hoping to get like a dual-faced one, and probably color in some way, shape, or form. And then I don't know what I would do for my front. I probably would just be cool with something across the chest to try and tie the two together. Lee and I had always talked about doing, like this world and this world battling each other across my chest.
Oh, that would be cool.
So like either doing a ship, like a battleship and a Japanese battleship, like shooting at each other and having the styles kind of mishmash together. But who knows? We'll see. I also wouldn't mind just like a big winged thing here. 'cause
Wings
shape
on
is
the
cool.
chest
Always
is,
such a
is
good way to
vibe.
end
Yeah.
it, though.
Like that's a
Like
vibe.
a cool owl or something. I wouldn't mind doing like an owl where his like talons are coming down past the sternum. I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't know.
Right.
gonna
See
wing
what
it.
goes.
Yeah.
You got
Those
wings.
ones, again, like the more tattoos I get, the less I care about what it is going to be. The more I want the
this is
tattooer
thing.
to do
This is
it.
exactly the thing where it's like the more of them you get, the more you should start understanding that it's just like I just want to get tattooed.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
It's not really about what I'm getting anymore.
Well, and the tattoo thing now is more like about the experience
Yeah.
for me. Like, I want to do something or build something with the artist.
Mhm.
Like, it's a project. It's like a team thing. And I have more appreciation for that. Because that's what it's felt like ever since I started getting tattooed. Like, Lee and I have been working together on my arms. And every time we have a session, it just feels like, yeah, we're doing something together.
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
He has a real aura of that around him where it's like you're working together.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. It's
a-
always like
it's
that
a team
with
thing, a project.
Because I felt that way with him too. Like it's almost like you're bros,
Yeah.
right? Back piece.
That's the only piece that I have like an actual desire to do the full thing
Yeah.
as one thing is
Yeah.
the back.
What would you get?
I always wanted to do like a cauldron with like all kinds of demons spilling out of
Cool.
it. Like, you know,
Color? Black and gray.
probably black and gray,
Yeah.
but I'm not opposed to like a smidge of color.
A little bit of color
Yeah.
here or there.
Sometimes you throw a little bit of weird color in there. It's kind of fun.
Did you ever see Craig's back piece?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Scrag Pie's dope.
She does some really cool work.
Yeah.
No, that would be someone I would consider approaching for
Yeah.
something like that, but
Yeah, something cool.
we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. The back is just such a huge canvas. Like, that's part of the reason that I think I also would want to go with Alex, because he's so fast. That I don't know if I could sit for, 80 hours on my back.
The
It's
back
daunting.
is, for the most part, pretty easy.
This is you saying it.
But
I know.
there are spots that suck.
Yeah.
Like, most of it is fairly run-of-the-mill fare for tattooing. It's not much worse than, like, a bicep here. Like, it's similar.
Really?
Yeah, because it's so broad. There's so much, like, hard tissue there.
Huh.
But then, I mean, we're all different, right?
Yeah.
But I find the back is way easier than the front. There's just so
That would
much
make sense.
squishy skin in the front.
Yeah.
Like, even now, like, talking about all this torso stuff, it's like, I know what I'm heading into. Those
Yeah.
are my least favorite sessions. And that's like, I'm planning on making this the rest of my year. Pretty So it's going to be just like a marathon of the worst place for me.
Well, that skin is just, like, not conducive to stretch.
Yeah.
Like, no matter who you are.
And like, to some extent, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. But like, I know what I'm in for. It's going to be agony for me.
Yep.
Especially it's getting worse and worse every time.
Isn't it weird that you're excited about it?
Yeah, it is weird. I actually feel like I'm getting tattooed though. Like when I was doing the black work, it felt like more of a big body mod. It felt like less of a tattoo and more of like a extreme mod.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds.
You were going to work.
Yeah,
That's
this
how it
just
was.
feels
You're
like
like,
getting
I'm just going to go
tattoos.
and finish my.
Yeah, we're doing renos.
It's really weird because it doesn't feel like I've been tattooed in a while. I've spoken about it on my vlogs that like the new stuff that I've been doing with the roses and stuff, that feels like tattooing. The
Yeah.
black work felt like something else.
Yeah.
Like it felt, like you're building a new home or something.
Well, yeah, you're remodeling.
And now this is like
You're giving yourself a
decorating.
new foundation, and
Yes.
you're doing
And
a
the
good way to
feel
put
you're
it.
doing the
different.
aesthetics.
Because like it doesn't feel anything like it. It
Yeah.
feels completely different.
Yeah, you're getting tattooed for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
You're a blank.
Yeah, you're a
skin.
blank canvas, except for
Blank
it's a black canvas.
Where Sarah's really worried about this spot.
I'm not
this is
like
getting
really
today.
worried about it.
You are.
I have really sore shoulders all the time. That's more what
Keeps-
I'm
and
worried
I'm
about.
Just like it's not that
The
bad there.
position that I'm going to need to sit in that
I'm like,
stresses me out. It's
That
gonna be fine.
spot's not painful. She's like, yeah, but you're like He-Man or something. I'm like,
Does that annoy you that people just kind of write you off for that?
yeah, a little bit because I do feel it.
Oh, of course.
Like I do. It's not like I'm impenetrable or like you don't feel pain anymore.
I just think it's less about like not feeling pain. It's just more about familiarity. Like if you haven't been tattooed for a long time, you're like, oh no, what's it gonna feel like? And then you get tattooed, and you're like, oh right, just like getting tattooed every single time.
See,
Every single time it feels the same.
having the
I'm often more worried about the way that I'm gonna sit because that's what makes me more sore. Is
Oh,
like,
I never think about that.
Oh.
I don't know why I don't think about
It
that.
bothers me all the time. Like this one time, I had these shorts with buttons on them, and I was like leaning on the button the
Oh, that
whole
sucks.
tattoo, and the tattoo didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But frick, that button hurt like
Yeah.
a lot.
That button's a part of you now.
Well,
that was the worst part about
It was awful.
the roses that Rick lined on me recently. Was I had to take all of my piercings out.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Well, because
Oh,
he
yeah, I
was like
guess.
pushing on them.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm upset about that, but like these don't feel good to be pushed on.
Oh, shit.
So they're like jamming into the back of my head, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is hurting more than the tattoo.
Yeah.
So these have to come out.
Which is kind of a good distraction, actually.
Oh yeah, well there was definitely a good storyline playing out in my head. I have to survive the ear discomfort
Yeah.
instead of the tattoo. That's actually what I was thinking. This tattoo is nothing. These ear discomfort is everything.
Although that is, we hear it less now that we've got better beds. Like the beds are way better. But a lot of times where people are sitting for a long session, just lying down, people don't lie down.
No,
Like on not their bed or whatever, right?
Because like your pillows will have you propped up at home.
Yeah,
Your
weird
spine's
angles
in a
and
different
stuff. But just
position.
to be like, or on your front,
Yeah,
like it's not conducive to feeling good while you're getting tattooed, unfortunately.
not at all. But the worst position I think is head in the hole. I
Yeah.
think that's the worst.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes during back sessions, straddling the chair.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Ooh.
not the best either because it opens up your back, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting like your spine area done.
Yep.
Like when I was getting my back tattooed, that's how I was sitting a lot of the time. Was like I'd be hunched over a chair like this,
Yep.
and you're getting your whole back tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best position.
No, because lying down doesn't stretch, like creates like a concave.
Yeah,
in the back.
exactly. You
It
can't get
sucks.
at the skin properly. And you really want to be mindful of, yeah, I'm in pain, but this guy's got to figure out how to keep this tattoo in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm always one for, I'll be in whatever position you need me to be. If I need to stand,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, no
That's what I'm
stress.
doing.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm with you there. I just like the best you can do to be a good canvas. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I don't want to make their job any harder.
No, God,
So I
no.
want it to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I had an involuntary twitch when I was getting my tattoo on my stomach.
Oh yeah.
Like couldn't help it. It was like a tickly twitch, and I felt so bad because I wanted my body to stop.
Yeah.
But it was just every time it was like the shader. Every time it went down, it was like tickly twitch.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
Kind of floating rib.
Yeah, this like
Yep.
right here,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was. I was like, yeah. Maybe I have to stop because I can't stop that involuntary twitch.
A
I only had
coworker
one
of
really bad
mine
one.
that came here, and he was talking about how he was feeling shaky, but he didn't feel like he was in too much pain. He was shaking, and I was like, all I can say is the more you get tattooed, the less you seem to shake.
Yeah.
Because I don't really shake much ever.
I mean, you were
With
sort of with the throat.
with this one, where,
How could
where
you
Rick
not?
wanted
Yeah.
you to hold me back the next day.
Yeah.
But like that's where you're trying to guard.
Well, there's some things you can't
Yeah.
can't figure. Like there's nerves. Like when you-
Involuntary
yeah.
twitches.
Like we have acupuncture for a reason, or you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
when you have certain nerves that you hit, it's like good luck. You know what I mean? The body's gonna defend itself. It just is how it is.
I just remember like my first few tattoos and feeling like the vibration was more powerful. Like it was like, oh my God, what's happening? You
Yeah.
know, and now I don't really have that.
It's the familiarity,
sensation.
man.
But it's still painful or
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what to do. Your body's already done the stress response. It's understood that it starts and it stops. Like there's a lot of learning that your body does.
yeah, it's
and-
not mental.
No.
It's like a muscle memory thing.
Yeah. What do they call that? It's the same with like lifting weights and certain things like that. Like when you go to new weights, like your nerves have to get used to the fact that you're there, and then the next time it'll be easier. And then the
There's
next
a
time
lot of
it'll be easier.
parallels in like heavy bodybuilding to like tattooing, I feel like.
Well, anything in the extremes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so. It's a mind over matter thing as well,
Yeah.
but I think tattooing's easier.
It's
I could just
easier
lay
because
there.
you're just
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just existing through this.
This is where you want that like machine that you strap on and it gives you a six pack. after
Yeah.
shocking you.
I don't.
Yeah.
Does it actually work though?
Oh, probably not.
Sitting
I
there
always
on the
wonder.
couch eating a bag of chips and
Getting your six
your
pack with
abs are
the.
working out.
It probably
great.
does like stimulate your muscles in some respect because that's what they use for like physiotherapy and things like that. But it's not gonna make you lose weight.
No.
Like you
That's
gotta-
a lazy man's approach to weight loss,
Yeah.
really.
If it worked, everybody would be chiseled,
100%.
right?
You'd just be walking around with those painted on shirts that have
Yeah.
the abs.
Man, wouldn't it be sweet though if we were just all like shredded?
Here's an idea. Why not
But
get
then people would want to be chubby
Abs
instead.
Yeah,
Tattooed.
exactly. Just
Like-
like back in the day.
Yeah.
tattoo abs on? Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah.
It's like, I've never seen it, but I would imagine that would be pretty bad. Like, you got a big flabby stomach, but you have the outline of abs.
But from far away, it looks real.
Exactly.
And that's all that matters because Instagram.
That 300-pound guy has a six pack. That's weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
But, yeah, all right. So when Sarah gets this one done, she's planning on getting the other side done too.
Yeah, I'd
So.
like to be even.
I think she's gonna end up with a full throat piece eventually.
Cool.
but
Yeah, probably.
I think
we'll
she just
see.
needs to tiptoe there.
Yeah. Well, like once you start going up the neck, you'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that does look great."
Yeah,
And
once
then-
you start seeing it, it's like, what else can I do?
That's one I don't know if I would ever really go front throat.
Ah,
I'd
that's what I'm
probably go
worried about.
up, and because like I'd be cool with doing like the back of my head kind of thing, like some sort of pattern work or something to tie down. But I don't know if I'd ever really go throat.
I'm telling you, throat is one of my favorite spots for a tattoo. Not favorite to do,
Yep.
but
It
like
looks good.
Yeah,
it's one of my
Like, very
favorite
aesthetically nice.
places for a tattoo.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite early tattoos I got. Was like I had two neck tattoos, and then I got my throat done, and I was always just like, oh yeah, now I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
this looks good.
Screams at you, right?
Yeah.
No matter where you are, it's just like,
Out there.
Yeah, you wear any kind of shirt you want, and that throat tattoo's showing up.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
very-
turtleneck.
man,
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little peeking through.
Unless you like roll the neck up,
Yeah.
but that's not a good look.
right?
So,
Map. I always feel like lucky that my job doesn't care. I walk in with a random new tattoo and they're kind of like
I feel
either
like
they don't
that's
notice or they don't say anything.
becoming
Yeah.
most places now. Seems
Yeah,
like.
but our individuals point it out more than anybody else. I have
Probably like
one.
it.
I have one individual who's always like, "What's that cross on your chest?" I'm like, "Well, it's just the symbol for sulfur. Nothing to worry about."
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
He just wants the reaction. He knows exactly, but he just wants me to say what it is.
Yeah.
Cause
Most people
why
probably just
not?
think it's a cool cross or something, right?
yeah,
Well, that's with
it's-
most symbols, right?
Yeah.
Nobody really knows.
Yeah,
Just
Unless
like, oh,
you
that's sweet.
know, It's just an image. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm finding less and less places care about tattoos these days.
Yeah. Unless they're government,
Mm.
really. Government institutions, I think they're the last to the.
Yeah.
And even like anytime I go into that city building,
Mhm.
like they're always just like, "Hey, I really like your tattoos" and like
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's never like a dirty look or anything like that.
No, tattoos are too prominent now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they're too in the world.
I
like-
technically work for the government.
Really?
We're government funded. So
Oh.
like, if I say anything offensive on social media, they can and probably will. It's
Do you have
happened
a morality
recently.
clause?
Yeah, we have. I signed. Actually, I didn't have to sign anything because I just kind of got doctored into it. But there's all
that's good.
kinds of. Recently, one of our employees said something on the internet that was like counter COVID belief,
Mm-hmm.
which is whatever. But since we have to hold up a certain standard because of the people that we support, PDD sent out an email to our superiors and was like, "Hey, your person can't say this on social media."
Oh, that's so weird.
And we all got an email reminding us that we have to, watch what we say.
Well, I mean, like, I don't understand why we have to, like, I get it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I do,
Yeah,
but at the same time, I don't.
right.
Because, like, these are all the court of public opinion thing. Like, if you post something that's stupid, you're going to get lambasted by the people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you
I
don't
don't-
have to have it enforced by anything.
I don't agree with it necessarily, and I don't understand why we have to do it. But I do understand that I'm not going to put my opinion out on certain issues online ever. You
But
will never.
that's
ever,
societally driven.
Yeah, I know, but like I will never ever do it because I don't want any of that backlash. Remy isn't going to give his opinion on certain things.
Remy reacts to.
Yeah, Remy reacts too. Yeah, no,
Right.
no. No one wants to know what I think about those things. I'm not saying anything about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some stuff I'm just not going to touch.
Well, there's also like a weird thing of when, like, have you ever had people where they'll give you input or advice on something that you did not ask for?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
So that is like the weird thing about social media is like it's all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if someone's put a post up about this, it's like were these people that follow you asking for that, or is it just like since they follow you, think everything that you give is asked of,
Right.
which is like that's not right, man.
People
Like that's
don't
really
understand
weird.
how many people follow you that don't like you, let alone
That's weird.
don't want to hear what you think.
That's so weird to me though. Like a
Right.
rage follow doesn't make any sense to me.
It's not like
But
I'm
they
going to say
just want to
something
watch
and
you. It's like I think girls understand that so much better than boys. I don't think
That's fair.
you know.
Yeah, we don't
We
have that
just-
stuff.
yeah,
in
I don't
junior
We
high.
just
expect
wanna lurk and know what's
130,000
going
people
on.
are going to listen
Yeah, I never-
to what you say, you know?
Like when women always have the same thing where they understand each other saying like, "Oh yeah, I already creeped you."
Yeah.
Like guys can't say that.
the guys
No,
don't do that.
I know it's like got a
Bro,
completely
I
different.
already know all about you.
Yeah, it's got a completely different context.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But I
don't
mean, I'm
know.
just saying like even if it is innocent, the same way of just like trying to know somebody, guys are never going to be that like we don't have the thinking power to do that. Like it's not like I'm going to go back and scroll through.
Was it last week I was talking about how Sarah has a rival?
Yeah.
Were we? Oh, you guys talked about that.
Yeah, I mentioned your rival that.
I don't really think that they're my rival. You've
Yeah,
you've
no.
coined them
No,
my
no.
rival.
You're
They are now.
"Look, I did this thing and then she did it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
now
it's really
now
bizarre.
you've stopped and now she's rivaling with someone else instead.
It's flattery.
Yeah, no, it's I always find that really. I mean, it's bizarre to me when that happens. I'm like, what? Why
Well,
can't
you
you be
pointed it out
yourself?
to me. I'm not pointing it out. Like she's like, look who she's copying now.
Right, I did. I was like, look,
I was
I'm
like,
not the scapegoat
So
what is
anymore.
wrong with what's wrong with you people? Why can't you just exist?
Well, I think some people think of that as inspiration. Like they were inspired by you, so they copy exactly what it was, right? Like it's like, "Oh, I like this too." But at the same time it's weirder when it's not like you're trying to like inspiration allows you to do something out of it, right? Like you can create out of it because it's giving you an idea of how to interpret it for yourself. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have that ability.
No,
That
people.
is what
Not
they view
everybody
as
has a. I mean, I think everybody's creative. It's just not everybody has developed their creativity the same way.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Oh, I
Does
totally
that
know
make
what you mean.
sense? Like I think.
Well, that's why we have the Pinterest tattoo thing
yeah.
of like, hey, I want that. It's like that's someone else's.
Right.
You sure you want that?
And they can't fathom in their head how theirs could be theirs, right?
Well,
They
it's
just want-
unique because I saw it.
right.
Give me that.
That's why I
Give me
think
that, but
anytime
put a
you
cat's
approach an
face in
artist,
there.
it should always be very loose.
Yeah.
You should just loosely go in and be like, I kind of want something like this. I don't even like bringing references. I'm always just like, I want flowers here.
Well,
Have
again,
fun.
I don't. Yeah, I'm in full support of that
Right.
because
Have a
like
good time.
you go to an artist for their artistic
Yeah.
merit, but at the same time, a lot of people do view tattooers as printers.
Yeah, I know. Well, and there was, I hate talking about Ink Master, but there was a season of Ink Master where
Yeah,
there was an artist that was a printer.
photocopier guy.
And we called him a photocopier. Me and
Yeah.
Jeremy, while we were watching, we were like, oh, the photocopier. And he was great.
He'd just do
all he
any
could do.
style, anything. And you would just, oh, that's what you want, and then you would just replicate
And
it.
it was
Yeah.
beautiful. But
He had no style of
creativity.
his own, but he could do anyone else's style.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we started on, where I was saying, like, yes, people have styles, and there are people that are in that top, like, 99%. But if you're at the 90% mark, it's pretty close. Like, you would almost not notice the difference in the original and this guy copying it.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to really study.
I don't agree. I really don't agree with that.
Well,
There's some artists out there that I don't really care about, like the clout. That's whatever. But they do things a certain way, and I don't think anybody else can mimic what they do.
Oh, of course not.
And
but
and I would go to that person just to get.
I think what he's saying
that.
though is that like if it's you get a reference,
Yeah.
like kind of if you're doing the printer
if you get
model,
a rose,
where
a
it's like-
traditional rose.
yeah, it's
then-
like these two guys like they're both going to be good.
Yep,
But one's going to be great
that's true.
and one's going to be good.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because obviously, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, that's got to be the case. Because like, there's certain artists that just they're going to be miles ahead because that is what it is.
Yeah.
And they're probably originators
Mm-hmm.
in those things. But there's going to be somebody out there that can do a pretty damn good version of their thing that they just stole. You know what I mean? Like,
Makes sense.
That's one of the things that's like hard in this industry too. Is like you want everybody to aspire to doing things the right way, but there's also people that are going to be, you know, they got to make a living. They're in a place that's hard to live. They don't have a lot of money coming in or whatever, and they're talented, but they're just in a location. Like I see people from Russia all the time where they're in a bad spot in Russia and a 9-hour day gets them $50.
Oh, it's so sad.
Whoa.
And it's and they're phenomenal artists.
Right? Oh
That's
yeah,
why a
no,
lot of
there's
those guys come over here.
amazing
Yeah.
Russian artists.
Yeah.
Definitely, I've seen some crazy, and they're doing huge pieces on people. And that's probably why
Yeah.
I keep seeing huge pieces because it's obviously
only
way
not
to make it
very
done.
expensive.
Yeah, legit.
And foreign people too. Like
Mhm.
I've like people travel to see some of those artists too. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I think it's hard to. I mean, right now it's hard to pick up and leave where you're at.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, like, they could be in that 99th percentile in it, but until they get the proper notoriety to get them out of wherever they're at, it's kind of like, well, you do what you can,
Yeah.
make a living.
That's the other thing is you could have a guy who's in that 99 percentile just doing work in a shop somewhere unknown.
Yep.
just
And
hiding.
all that would change that is if suddenly he had 100,000 followers on Instagram
Yeah.
and now he's semi-famous,
Yep.
right? But does that make him a better artist?
Well,
Perceived?
in terms of, it depends on how you want to rate that. In
Right.
terms of art, no.
No.
In terms of dollars, yes.
Yeah.
In terms
More
of
money.
having the ability to pay a mortgage, absolutely.
Oh,
But this
for
is
sure.
where I'm saying, like, Joe Blow up the road might be doing some fantastic tattoos,
Yep.
and no one might know about it.
Oh, dude,
Right.
like most tattooers don't know how to market themselves
Yeah.
at all. Like at all. It's crazy.
Most artists don't know.
Most
how to,
artists, that's a fair
It's like I took a class about how to market
Yeah.
as an artist, and it was awful. It was a great class, but you know, putting yourself out there is not easy.
Well, when you hate everything you do,
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people
yeah,
feel that
no,
way.
a lot of artists.
Well, that's where like real notoriety usually comes from when you have someone else doing it for you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When someone else
you
can,
hire a Remy.
because then you don't have your own bullshit keeping you back.
Yeah.
Like you've got someone that can
come in
kind of
and
go like,
go.
well, none of that makes any sense. Let's just market you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's all just stupid stuff that's happening in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you what's real,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Because I don't have an attachment to this.
Yeah.
That's
Negatively
you do.
or
You need that. You
positively.
need that like third party to come in and go, "This is great.
This one kind of sucks. This one's great.
Yeah, we'll take that out of the trash.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the window.
Yeah. And if you
Someone
could have,
will love it.
like someone out there, I'm sure there's artists out there that don't have that need for a middleman, but a majority of them do.
Mm.
Like it just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.